welcome to another RSR. Tonight I'm reviewing Vancouver Whitecaps FC 2, CF Montreal 1 in the 2023 Canadian Championship Final. Vancouver Whitecaps win the Voyageurs Cup for the second straight season, and they will be going to the CONCACAF Champions Cup 2024 as the Canadian Championship Voyageurs Cup winners. To the preliminary round they go. If they don't win the MLS Cup or Leagues Cup, they will go through there, the preliminary round, but they are in the Champions League. The one MLS Canadian team to obviously, and no matter what, will be in the Champions Cup. Of course, two CPL teams will make it no matter what. But Toronto and Montreal still have a chance through Leagues Cup and MLS Cup. But that's neither here nor there. Right now, goals were scored as follows. 58th minute, Jonathan Sawah misplays the ball after a 0-0 half where he stands on his head, and had Montreal won or even lost, if he didn't do what he did here and scored on the penalty, he would have been man of the match. But he does what he does here. He misplays the ball, doesn't kick it out, gets a little bit too far, not close enough, doesn't get it. Brian White falls for after Sawah fails after the kick, falls after the kick. Brian White takes a shot into an open net, opens the scoring, makes it 1-0 for Vancouver. Then, in the 65th minute, penalty is given to the Whitecaps. Ryan Gould takes it, slots it past Sawah to make it 2-0. And that's pretty much all she wrote, even though Sanusi Ibrahim gets one in behind, makes a beautiful run, and slots it under pressure past Takaoka to make it 2-1 in the 83rd minute. It's not enough. Montreal does not get the second goal to put themselves into a penalty shootout. Vancouver wins 2-1. Montreal did not do enough to tie this game up or win it. And Jonathan Sawah definitely did a great performance in that first half. That first half from Jonathan Sawah would have been man of the match level, even if Vancouver had won by a goal, had he not muffed up that first goal or given away, or the penalty been given away and he couldn't save it. I think 2 goals against and it being 2-1, the way it went down, I think that kind of takes away the man of the match award for Sawah. But even then, he still had a great performance. You got to feel for him. You really do. You have to feel for him. I personally think he had a great match. I think, yes, the first goal, he got a little bit too far away from the ball, didn't judge the distance, and fell over when he tried to kick it away and open the net. That's a bad positioning. The penalty, it's hard to save a penalty, but his team was behind the 8 ball already. That's what sucks. Ibrahim Sanusi getting the goal to bring Montreal back into it was a pretty good goal, but it was just over by then, even if they did score a second. I think Vancouver did enough to win. They deservedly won, and they looked like the better team throughout the 2 halves of this game, this final. Again, Vancouver was the more direct team. They were the more forward-playing team. They were the stronger team. They wanted this more. Sawah just denied them for 58 minutes until he made a mistake that put Montreal behind the 8 ball, and they just couldn't catch up from there. Full-time stats, 20 shots to 9, 9 shots on goal to 5, 49% possession to 51% possession, 427 passes to 457 passes, 77% pass accuracy to 81, 9 fouls to 7, 0 offside to 2, 1 yellow card to 1, 0 red cards to 0, 10 corners to 2. Again, I think Montreal deserved better. I really do. I think Sawah deserved better. I don't know if Montreal as a team deserved better, but Sawah did. Jonathan Sawah did everything he could, and it still wasn't enough for CF Montreal tonight. And sometimes that's what happens in football. That's sometimes what happens. He would have been man of the match had the match not ended up the way it did. This was the one way he wouldn't win it, even with a loss. the way he played in that first half. I still got to give a hat tip to Jonathan Sawah for that first half. If I had a Plays of the Week segment, all 3 of his saves in the first half. The reflex on the header, the foot save, then the second save off that action of play would have been on Plays of the Week. That's how good he was in that first half. But again, Montreal didn't do enough to back Sawah, and they went behind the 8 ball and could never get back in front of it. They tried to climb it, but it was just too late, and it got pocketed, so to speak. With that being said, Vancouver was just the better team. Vancouver wanted this more. They wanted to repeat more. They wanted this trophy the most. They saw an open lane. They beat Montreal 5-0 back in April at BC Place. They knew they were the better team. And they still were the better team tonight. They still were. It took them longer to break down Montreal. That shows how much Montreal has grown since the Vaughan match. But it also shows that Vancouver was willing to wait to take their chances. Brian White didn't quit on the play, and I think that's why he's man of the match for me for this match. He did not quit on that first goal. He could have quit. He could have let Sawah claim it and pull away. No, Brian White kept running, and that's why they scored that first goal. And you could arguably say if they didn't score that first goal, the penalty wouldn't have happened, and Montreal might have won this match. Whether it was a penalty shootout or that one goal. Brian White legitimately won this match for Vancouver. I don't care what you say. He won this match for Vancouver. He kept that play alive. He kept pushing for that play. They gave it a goal because of how hard he... Well, it's not because of how hard he worked, but because of how hard he worked and popping that ball in. It stood as a goal. They let it stand. And Vancouver won in the end. The penalty happens minutes later, and then it's done and dusted. Vancouver legitimately needed that Brian White moment to win this trophy. So for me, Brian White's man of the match. The way he ran for that ball, to push that ball out of the possession of Sawah, and to pick it up and put it away as calmly as he did, that was 2021 Brian White. That was the hot Brian White after the trade from Red Bull. And you saw a flash of that. He did a lot tonight. He played well tonight as well, just besides that goal. He wanted this a lot. He wanted this trophy, the repeat, a lot. Gould with a great penalty. Takaoka didn't have to do much. He did not have to do much besides that last save, really, to seal it. But Takaoka had an okay game. He had a good game. About what we expect from him. Nothing special. Sawah was the one who wowed me tonight out of the goalkeepers, and definitely he has an argument for man of the match. But the way it went down, I don't think. This is the one way I wouldn't give it to him. So with that being said, you look at the football and you're like, okay, yeah, Vancouver deserved that match. Montreal is going to be a heartbreaking one, but I don't think they got done hard, done wrong. It's just a heartbreaking match, and sometimes that's what happens. Vancouver were the better team on the night, and the best Canadian team in this tournament. They well deserved winning the trophy. That's what they deserved. They deserved to win the trophy. They were the best Canadian team in this tournament this year. Simple as. And Vancouver rightfully won the trophy. They might be the best Canadian team right now overall. With that being said, Vancouver did exactly what they needed to do. They won. They wanted it more. They stayed on the front foot. They pressed the issue. They won the game. Later than not, better later than not, they got the goal they needed, and they just built from there. And it sucks they gave up the one goal to Sanusi Ibrahim. They probably didn't want to do that. Made it a bit harder for the last 10 minutes, but... Last 13, I should say, with a 6 minutes of stoppage time. But in the end, they still won. They still did their job and won. So Vancouver, deservedly so, are your Canadian champions. With that being said, if you like this video, like it, share, subscribe. You know what it is. Tell your friends. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification once subscribed. Send super chats on the live streams. Comment on this video. Put it to playlist. share with friends and family, all that great stuff. I will see you tomorrow for a live watch along of both the Caribbean Cup, CONCACAF Caribbean Cup draw, and the CONCACAF Central American Cup draw, and I will review those together because I think that makes more sense, because reviewing the Caribbean Cup wouldn't take that long. Draw wouldn't take that long, so it'll be reviewed together. I will see you then. Should be a pretty easy day, and then there you go. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Ryan, and I'm out. Peace. Congratulations, Vancouver. Commiserations, Montreal.